Hello everyone. So BioWare dropped some pretty big Dragon Age 4 news today, which I'm going to go over all of that in this video, but today will also mark the transition on my channel into covering this game in depth, kind of like I did with Baldur's Gate 3. So if you're interested in things such as a lore series leading us up to launch, you're in the right place. All right, let's jump on over to X. Only 56 minutes ago, BioWare tweeted, "Exciting news, hashtag Dragon Age fans. Join us on June 11th for the first official gameplay reveal." So the time has finally come. Holy crap, we're actually getting some official gameplay, and that is super exciting. We're gonna get more into that once I click on the article that BioWare gave us right here, the blog that they gave us. But it's just crazy to hear gameplay reveal after all of us have been waiting for so damn long. Holy lawnmower. This gameplay reveal is going to be over 15 minutes of gameplay, and it's going to take place on the official Dragon Age YouTube channel on June 11th, which is Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, which will be 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in the blog. The other big news here is, of course, the name change. So Dragon Age 4, Dragon Age Dreadwolf is now called Dragon Age the Veilguard, and at initial glance, without thinking too deep on it, the first thing that I think of with this name is the Veil, of course, and the Veil is this metaphysical barrier between basically the material plane, if we're speaking in D&D lore terms, so the continent of Thedas, the physical world, I guess you could say, and also the Fade, which is like this spiritual place of existence where there's spirits and demons, and the Veil is basically the barrier between both of those worlds. And of course, if that barrier is broken, yeah, spirits will come out, but also a ton of demons come out as well. So the Veil needs to be guarded. But before we get too deep into it, a quick message from my favorite video sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to your doorstep. All that you need is 2 minutes to pop one in the microwave, and I'd say around 2 seconds or so for cleanup. Factor eliminates the hassle of prepping, cooking, and cleaning up. You simply heat and then savor the good stuff. These meals are incredibly delicious, and the great thing is that there's a ton of options to choose from. In fact, there's 35 weekly options, which includes more specialized categories such as Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and Vegan and Veggie, and there's 60 plus add-ons every week like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages. When things get hectic, Factor is also flexible, and you can change up your order every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, and you can pause or reschedule deliveries at any time. For me, less grocery trips and also less time for cooking equals more time for gaming, and yes, of course, outdoor activities, because it's about to be summer. So head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code WolfheartFPS to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code WolfheartFPS at factor75.com to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. It's good stuff. Back to the video. There's plenty of other reasons why you may not want the Fade and the material plane to be connected together here. Mages are connected to the Fade, and if that barrier didn't exist, magic would take over, and not everybody would necessarily be too happy about that, but we'll get into all that in a future lore video. But now we're moving on to BioWare's blog post here, which is connected to their Twitter post. So this is as of June 6th today. The next Dragon Age has a new title. Hi everyone. Summer is nearly upon us, and as promised, we're ready to provide an update on our big reveal. We'd like to invite the world to join us on Tuesday, June 11th for the official first look at gameplay for the next Dragon Age. After Dragon Age Inquisition launched, the studio was given an incredible opportunity to explore, test, and validate a variety of gameplay concepts as we work to determine what the next Dragon Age could look like. And yeah, this is like the big mystery question here. Each Dragon Age game, from Origins to Dragon Age 2 to Inquisition, they all had some pretty big changes from one another, especially in the gameplay department. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Dragon Age 4 is actually going to be like. Later in this video, we do get some more information from Gary McKay on the gameplay and combat. Chapter markers below. We brought everything to the table, which, yes, even included a multiplayer concept. Yeah, fans were not happy about that, or not happy about the possibility of like a live service type game, and thankfully BioWare went back on that, so that's actually, I would say, a good sign. The time we spent experimenting and iterating gradually taught us a lot. This work and the amazing support from EA helped us refocus on creating an incredible single-player game with all the choices, characters, and world building you'd expect from us. So yeah, I guess these are good things to hear, but it kind of sounds more like PR talk. We're gonna have to actually see the game ourselves before we can see if this all worked out, because you can't forget all the layoffs and all the veterans of BioWare that are no longer a part of this project, and some of them didn't have the greatest things to say. So just think about that. All the amazing support from EA. Probably not the right line for Gary to say here, but whatever. At BioWare, we create worlds of adventure, conflict, and companionship, where you're at the center of it all. As fans of our franchise know, every Dragon Age game has delivered a new standalone story. Set in the world of Thedas, these tales explore epic locales and threats, always thrusting you into a new conflict. Each game also introduces a new lead hero, the Warden, Hawk, the Inquisitor. So you have Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and then, of course, Dragon Age Inquisition, that you can call your own. You can expect all that and more with the new game. And of course, much like your unique hero, it wouldn't be a Dragon Age game without an amazing cast of companions, right? Each of the 7 unique characters, so 7 companions in this game, I don't think that's been revealed yet, at least I didn't know that make up your companions will have deep and compelling storylines where the decisions you make will impact your relationships with them. So that's classic BioWare right there, as well as their lives. You'll unite this team of unforgettable heroes as you take on a terrifying new threat unleashed on the world. Naturally, the dreadwolf still has an important part in this tale, but you and your companions, not your enemies, are at the heart of this new experience. So the dreadwolf, I mean, I don't think talking about Dragon Age 3 is spoilers, but the dreadwolf is, of course, that certain bald elf named Solas, and he is actually an elven god. And Solas, I don't think, would mind the Fade becoming part of the material plane. So to capture what this game is all about, we changed the name, as the original title just didn't show how strongly we feel about our new heroes, their stories, and how you'll need to bring them together to save all of Thedas. We proudly introduce you to Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, I gotta say, I think Dragon Age Dreadwolf sounds way better, but BioWare seems to be giving some compelling reasons as to why they want the Veilguard, but Dreadwolf just flows so nicely off the tongue, especially the dragon being a D. Dragon Age Dreadwolf, it's just so good, but it is what it is. This name is not too bad. So we've been waiting a long time for this reveal, and we're so ready to show you what we've been up to. We'll see you on Tuesday, June 11th at 8 a.m. Pacific at the Dragon Age YouTube channel with over 15 minutes of gameplay from the opening moments of the game that has you jumping back into Thedas on your new adventure. So over 15 minutes of gameplay. It seems like it's going to be pure gameplay, which is really cool. And it's also kind of cool that it's the opening moments of the game, so we're not getting like any spoilers or anything like that. This moment means so much to everyone at BioWare, and we wouldn't be here without you. We're ready to have some fun, so join the chat early. We've got a few special surprises for you. Thank you for all your support. See you soon. So yeah, big news coming out of BioWare here, and man, I really just hope that this gameplay reveal turns out to at least be decent. I really hope it turns out to be good, of course, but if the game even looks decent or even mid, I'm going to be covering the crap out of this game, because the Dragon Age franchise, especially the lore and the world building, etc. I'm reading David Gator's books right now. They're so good. It really means a lot to me, and I'm going to want to see where this story goes. And it does seem like BioWare is focusing a lot on the companions and their stories and things of that nature. Let's hope that they do it in a good way. But if you're a Dragon Age nerd, make sure to stick around, because now we're going to go over an IGN article with Gary McKay, who actually talked to a few different sources, and we got some more information on Dragon Age the Veilguard. And the first thing I want to talk about here is in this article, it says BioWare confirmed that the Veilguard will feature 7 playable party members, which we already talked about, and that it will feature fun and fluid moment-to-moment combat. So if you're like me in the past, whenever that leak came out, I already went through a grieving period just accepting that this is going to be a pure action RPG and the game's not going to have much strategy or tacticalness behind it. I already went through that grieving period and just accepted that. And now I'm going into this game expecting more of an action RPG. With that said, we do have some information here on the combat system from Gary. As an RPG, strategy and combat is important as you bring 2 companions to every fight. Each companion brings unique powers and abilities that have direct impact on how you choose to take down the enemies at hand. To add another layer to that strategic element, we're introducing a new ability wheel where you can pause the action and set up your next move, whether it's your companion's abilities or your own. Hallelujah. Oh man, I'm so happy that this is technically real time with pause. I do think this game is going to lean much more into action combat versus, like, let's say the strategy and tacticalness that you find in Origins, that type of real time with pause. But the fact that it exists is a huge relief to me. And hopefully if I bump the difficulty up to the max difficulty, it's going to require real strategy and pausing and trying to evaluate the battleground. I'm not sure if we're still going to have the isometric view. We're going to have to wait to find out. But I'm really happy to at least hear them talking about strategic elements behind the game. Really happy. The ability wheel opens up a huge amount of strategic possibilities, giving players the ability to control the flow of combat and link powerful combinations of abilities between players and their companions that can quickly turn the tide of any battle. We think we found an exciting balance between fun, fluidity, and strategy for every encounter. Really excited to see how this turns out, and of course we only have to wait a few more days. But now let's talk a little bit more about the name change. And Gary says that while Solas is still very much a part of the Dragon Age, the Veilguard story, the team wanted a title that reflected a really deep and compelling group of companions. There's Solas right there, the dreadwolf. One thing that's important to remind fans is that every Dragon Age game is a new and different experience, and this game, more so than ever, is about you and your companions, a group that you must rally to fight by your side. We can't wait for players to meet, connect, and form their own personal relationships with the unique companions that make up the Veilguard. That's the spirit of this game, of this story. Choosing who will join you on your adventure, fight alongside you, and be there by your side in the end. So, you know how like in Inquisition, we're part of the Inquisition. Now we're making up what the game is calling the Veilguard, and I'm assuming we're trying to protect and guard the Veil from Solas's plans here, the Dreadwolf's plans, but it does seem like there's going to be some other gods involved in the story as well, not necessarily solely focused on Solas. And in a separate blog post, McKay elaborated and said, each of the 7 unique characters that make up your companions will have deep and compelling storylines where the decisions you make will impact your relationships with them, as well as their lives. You unite this team of unforgettable heroes as you take on terrifying new threat unleashed on the world. Naturally, the Dreadwolf still has an important part in this tale, but you and your companions, not your enemies, are the heart of this new experience. And McKay claims that the name change wasn't a matter of focus testing, which commonly informs decisions like these. He goes even as far as to admit that sticking with the Dreadwolf might have been easier. And then McKay actually talks about Dreadwolf a little bit, and he says, we actually think sticking with Dreadwolf would have been the safer choice. Dreadwolf is a cool name after all. Yes, it's a very cool name. In the end, it was the most important for us to have a title that was authentic to the companions that are at the heart of this adventure that we've created. We've worked throughout the development to create really incredible backstories for each companion that intersect with the main narrative in meaningful ways. Then further down in this article, McKay actually expands on, what the Veilguard means, and of course, Solas wanting to break the Veil. And he says, the biggest clue I can share is that you and your companions that make up the Veilguard are central to taking down a new evil threat unleashed upon Thedas. It might not just be Solas. So once again, there's going to be multiple villains in this story arc. How important of a role they'll play? Is Solas at the center of it? Probably, but pretty interested to see how this turns out. And a few more things that I want to share here. McKay said, we spent a lot of time making our companions feel authentic based on their own unique experiences within this larger fantasy world, which in turn makes the relationships you form with them feel even more meaningful. We've tapped into Dragon Age's deep lore and explored its most iconic factions to bring each of the 7 companions and their stories to life. So seems like the companions are going to have a lot to do with the factions, of course. And we do have a ton of pictures that I'll have pop up right now that have been shared in the past representing different factions, potential companions, etc. McKay also says that each of these 7 companions is intended to represent a unique faction or element from Theta. So not every companion necessarily coincides with a specific faction, but it seems like a lot of them will. They're definitely going to have some unique tie to Thedas, of course. As you accompany your companions to unravel their backstory and earn their loyalty and friendship, you'll visit more regions of Thedas across a deeper variety of biomes than any Dragon Age before it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Big news coming out of BioWare. Can't wait for June 11th. If you guys want to join the Discord server, I will have an entire section dedicated to Dragon Age, and there's a lot of Dragon Age fanatics on my channel, trust me. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. I'll catch you all on the next one on June 11th.